When we all started this podcasting journey, I don't think any of us knew exactly where it was going to take us. If you followed us from the beginning, you know where we started. Relationships that turned into family, determined to shed light on truth and justice. Jane's resilience, transparency, and her tenacity has always inspired us, as I'm sure it inspires you too. We turned into warriors and advocates, which are roles that we do not take lightly. I remember thinking to myself over the years that my goal was to be as strong as Jane. I wanted to just bottle up that resilience, her fire, her passion. We all know Jane is a true survivor. She embodies all the elements to make her just that. Given the events of this last 6 months that impacted our team with Hurricane Helene, we can truly say that without Jane, her actions, and her inspiration, I don't know if we would be survivors too. But we are. I think we understand what it takes a bit more to be a survivor now. And so now with this renewed fire and resilience with everyone on our team, we are back. Invisible Tears is ready to get back to work advocating and doing what we do best. Speaking the truth, letting others do the same, and advocating for justice. Our season 5 is going to be full of updates, interviews, cases, advocating, and exciting partnerships and projects. And so we open the season with our episode entitled Survivor Strong, because that is what our team is.
Welcome to Invisible Tears. I'm Jane, host of Invisible Tears. I'm with Amanda, my co-host, and I'm actually recording in New Hampshire. She's in North Carolina, and we're going to do some updates on Amanda and her family. Of course, we have talked in the past about Hurricane Helene and the damage it did, and what they've had to endure since. And so I'm going to turn it over to Amanda and she can give us some updates.
Thanks so much, Jane. Yeah, so you all, if you've been following along with us, we've been on a little bit of an extended break. It was an extremely long break, and we apologize. We're extremely excited to be back now.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. It's so nice to be back and like recording and like seeing your face and like doing some piece of normalcy. This is amazing. Because when we did put out our 8-part Hurricane Helene update in between our seasons, that was really just to sort of let you guys know what was going on. And it definitely had a significant impact to not only Jane, but us and all of our families. There were a lot of people that were extremely concerned, and we can't thank each and every one of you enough for caring, for reaching out. I know that people have reached out to, and not just Invisible Tears, but Jane directly. They've reached out to us directly. Some people we knew personally, and some people we didn't. Your compassion meant a lot to us. We felt all your thoughts and prayers, and they were answered, and they definitely helped. So first and foremost, thanks to all of our fans. We felt the love, and thank you so much for being so patient. So the entire reason why we've been on break for so long is because we continue to experience sort of like roadblocks and setbacks. It's as of the time we're recording right now, it's March 10th, 2025. And this devastating 1,000-year storm ripped through our area the end of September 2024. And we still are experiencing things from the storm. We had been, we were trying to get into our permanent housing, get into our home that we bought since the end of October. And we weren't able to do that until a week ago. So we're moved into our permanent home now. Yay. It just took an extremely long time. I know. Yay. We're so excited. We're settling. We're not completely settled. It's going to take a bit. But we're extremely happy about that. And it just took so long. You don't think about certain pieces that are inevitably going to be impacted when something like this happens, right? Supply chain. Supply chain was extremely impacted from a contractor perspective as well. One of the main reasons why we had to wait so long in getting into our new home was because certain parts of our HVAC system that had to be installed because of new laws and regulations, it was like completely like back ordered and like we couldn't get it. So we had to just sit there and look at our home and not be able to move in. Um, also, there was a lot of the like county inspectors and things like that were extremely obviously like backlogged with things that were happening. They had put a public communication out there that they were, you know, doing the best that they could, but they were also being extremely lenient. From our personal perspective, that actually wasn't the case at all. They didn't work with us at all. And weren't lenient and weren't very helpful. So much so that we actually wrote the governor message about it. So hopefully the governor's office will actually be looking into what the Buncombe County inspectors are actually doing. So that created a little bit of a setback for us too, and that was pretty frustrating. But all in all, we're settling, but there is still a ton of rebuild happening. A lot of roads and bridges that were a really big piece to travel around here have come back, and some of them, I mean, it's extremely recent, as of like a week and a half ago. So that's fantastic. I-40 connecting Tennessee to North Carolina, that came back as of March 1st with a pretty good push from our current administration. Originally, they told us to not expect that to be open at all until like the end of 2025 because of how that was taken out. But that has since been restored. Smaller bridges within our community have been rebuilt and actually been restored to make traveling around a little bit easier for us. But a lot of the destruction and a lot of the devastation is still there. We are seeing pieces of the debris being taken out, which is nice to see improvement, but a lot of the destruction is still there for us to see every day.
That's got to be so hard. I went down to North Carolina. I've been down there several times, especially Black Mountain area. And I can remember seeing so much beautiful mountains and parks, and just it was a beautiful area. And when I went down the last time, it was like that beauty's gone. There's so
Mhm.
much destruction and so much damage. And, you almost forget the beauty that was down there. And just to see just so much damage.
Mhm.
It's still hard for me to talk about. I can't imagine you guys having to see it every day. Such a constant reminder of what it used to be, and then have to look at it and know that it's never gonna look like that again. You
Right.
never the parks and a lot of the scenery and everything, you're never gonna see that again, and I have a hard time with it. I can't
Mhm.
imagine, you guys having to live in it every day. But, businesses are opening.
Mhm.
That's a good thing.
Yep, businesses are opening. I would say that almost 100% of Black Mountain businesses are opened back up, which is fantastic. Can't say the same thing about Swannanoa. Swannanoa, like our little sister town right there. What can be opened is open, but I believe that quite a bit of those businesses are going to attempt to rebuild back where they were. Um, you mentioned, seeing the devastation and It's funny. Before we moved down here, every time we visited, I would see another beautiful piece of the area down here. I instantly, the first time I came down here, I absolutely fell in love. There were certain pieces of this terrain in this environment that really reminded me of northern Vermont,
Yeah.
and so I would have those familiar like glimpses, and those familiar like feelings, and I was like, wow, I really love it down here, and you're 1,000% right. It's absolutely gorgeous down here. And I think one of the hardest pieces now for us that are currently here and still currently love this area is we still see the devastation every day. We remember how beautiful it was, and we know that it most likely will not ever go back to the way that it was. We'll try and rebuild back. It'll be beautiful still, but
Yeah.
it won't be the same. So those constant daily reminders, like, to put it into perspective, part of my process, like every single day, is bringing my daughter to school. She goes to Owen High, which is right over on the border of Black Mountain and Swannanoa. Grabbing coffees for me and Drew, and the dog always visits the people at Dunkin' Donuts over there. They know him, but that strip that we go on is the main strip in Swannanoa. It's a constant devastating reminder. And what I find myself personally doing is just getting sad because I know how beautiful it was and the feelings that I got when I looked at this area before. And now it's just we're going to do our best, but it's sad.
Yeah. It's really important that people don't forget about Western North Carolina because they are still going through a lot.
Hmm.
They have a lot of recovery to do. And,
Hmm.
still today, they express that their biggest fear is that they're going to be forgotten. And
Yeah.
we got to make sure that they're never forgotten, that you guys are never forgotten down there, that, we stand behind you guys and we try to um, I'm constantly trying to make sure people don't forget about you guys
I
because
know
you
you
guys still
are.
have a
Thank
lot of
you.
recovery to do.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, just to let people know too, I mean, there are still, like free resources that are available down
Yeah.
here. I mean, obviously things have scaled down in size. Um, every so often there's, a free event for, somebody's donating propane or something like that. And all of those pieces, even though it hasn't taken over like every free space like it had originally, which we greatly appreciated. A lot of the places that are offering, free goods and food and that sort of thing for anybody, cleaning supplies or, anything like that. A lot of those places have scaled down and it's by appointment, but those resources still are available. There's even still a free clinic that is available as well. So, I mean, obviously limited hours, people had to go back to work, but there are resources that are still trying to help. I wouldn't necessarily say it's from, the state or federal level. It's still from those, you know, like the Cajun Navy and
They're so
smaller
amazing. They're
organizations.
still there. They're
Yeah.
still there.
There's still,
Cajun Navy 16. Oh my God, they're still there.
yeah.
It amazes me. And they have created such relationships down there with people, personal relationships that
Yeah.
they continue to check on people. They continue to bring resources to people up in the mountains that still are struggling. And
Hmm.
they just they're still there. They're just amazing, amazing people.
And going along with that too, a lot of a lot of sort of like those homegrown and local organizations that are still here that are still trying to like help rebuild and help with like help with like the cleanup and things like that. There are actually even still free showers and bathrooms and stuff like that for all
Wow.
those people because there's still people helping out those organizations that do not live here. They have been here for months,
Yeah.
months. And I mean, some of the tasks that these people are doing, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. And some of it's actually recovery and stuff like that too. So
And
Yeah,
they're
we still
living in
have those resources.
campers right next to other people that are living in campers because their houses were destroyed,
Yeah.
because people are still living in motels because they have nowhere to go. So these motels and hotels are booked. So these volunteers that come down, they are literally living in campers right next to the people that they're helping every day.
Yeah. We have personally seen some of the, like FEMA temporary housing go up because of the development that we live in. And we have seen some residents actually move into them, but there's still vacant temporary homes in our neighborhood too. Uh,
I don't
just,
understand
just,
that.
I don't either. I told Drew, especially as we were waiting and we definitely weren't being super it was hard to be patient. It was hard to be patient for us to be able to actually get into our permanent housing, but of course we understood the constraints of the community. I told him, I said, I will go so full bore vocal if nobody moves into these.
Yeah.
So thankfully, some people have, but they're not all full. Every single lot in our development actually has a structure now. Some have more than one, and they're not all full. So hopefully they end up getting full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And
Yeah.
FEMA owns all those. They went
Correct.
in and they took over
Hmm.
all those units.
Yep. Any sort of temporary housing that did go in, yes, FEMA owns them and they are temporary. However, I believe that one of the workers actually told my father in law that the people are allowed to be in them for up to 18 months.
Yeah, that's not
So,
very long.
no, it's not when you completely lost your house and,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, who knows? Yeah. It's not a long time to rebuild, but
No.
no.
But you are back to doing your Reiki
I
and
am.
trying to get back to some normalcy and routine in your life.
Yes, I have it. Super, super happy to announce. So while I never went away from any, and my few clients that are virtual know this because I think they listen to the podcast too, but I never tried to go away from the virtual. That was only, if my Wi-Fi or structure couldn't handle it or wasn't working. But I have joined a collective right downtown in Black Mountain called the Black Mountain Massage and Wellness. It's an amazing collective. I'm the only Reiki master that's there. But other people do a couple of variations of energy work. The majority of them are massage therapists, but I do have a in-person availability down there. I just started down there with those guys, and everybody's amazing. This is a community who right after the recovery of the storm and everything, all the massage therapists were offering free massages down there. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, everybody
Nice.
sort of has their specialty, and there's goodness, I think there's about 8 other therapists that actually work out of there. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to seeing clients in person. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do that, but everything aligned when I went and had a conversation with them. And it just so happened that their old Reiki therapist had just left and they didn't have Reiki anymore. So um, it was meant to be. The owner's amazing. She's been practicing for an extremely long time. She's actually a massage teacher. So yeah, I'm in a fantastic collective right downtown. So it'll be great to get
Nice.
back to practicing in
I
person.
was very glad to hear that because
Yeah, thank you.
I see a big difference in you. You have
Yeah.
you're meant to do Reiki. You're meant to heal. You're meant to help others, and that's what you're doing now. Back to
Mhm.
doing it again. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. I
Thank
was ecstatic to hear that you were
you.
were starting that again.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Virtual is nice. Virtual is nice and convenient, especially because we got a lot of stuff going on in our life. But I wasn't sure when we first moved down here, I wasn't sure if my path was going to lead me to actually working with people in person anymore. And then after I started volunteering my time, and, helping, the fire marshal and all the EMS people and the fire departments and all the volunteer fire departments, when I started volunteering my time and doing in-person sessions with them and just having some simple conversations, I thought to myself, well, having a full-time, just dedicated office space may not necessarily work, but there's a lot of collectives around here, and I'm sure I could find one that fits.
And you did. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So that's an exciting update for us from our household too. So yeah, I mean, I guess just to sort of summarize for everyone that's, sort of still wondering, about all of us down here in this region. It's amazing that, God, 5 months, 4 or 5 months after the storm of the century happened, we are still actively recovering. Everybody's starting to try and actually get back into, the swing of things and back into their day-to-day lives. But I do see a lot of people trying to get out of survival mode and not being able to. So the community itself, like even in some of our community groups that are down here on like social media, if we get severe weather, it's people, strangers being there for each other. Like, we're going to get through this. Like, you're going to be fine. I had a mini panic attack the first time I drove on a road that had some pooled water, afterwards. Those random little pieces that'll hit you and you don't realize. The sound of the wind the other night. We had some really strong winds a few days ago up here, and now with where we're living in our development, we're at the topmost point, so our elevation's even higher. Kind of sounded like a familiar freight train.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of breathing through it and trying to tell yourself that you're safe. You're safe and you're going to be okay. And try to remind yourself of the baby steps that you can do to sort of get out of the survival mode, and try and get back to some piece of normalcy.
Yeah.
Is what we're all doing.
Routine is like huge with PTSD. I know with myself, experiencing PTSD, like the pandemic shutdown was horrible for me because we were stay-at-home orders and there was no routine. And I struggled big time with that. And so I know firsthand, routine is super important with PTSD. I mean, there's times, probably 2 or 3 times a year that I just, I wanna, for whatever reason, no particular reason, I just wanna isolate myself in my bedroom, lay in bed, watch TV, not talk to anybody, not, see anybody, and I just wanna isolate myself. But now I'm more apt to say, "No, you can't do that. You have routine. You have things to do. You need to, get up, take a shower, get your coffee, and, go to work and get right back into your routine." And it's hard to get out of that, isolation mode, but once you're out of it, or once I'm out of it, I know, it's I feel a big difference, getting right back into the routine aspect of it. It's, super important with PTSD, at least for me it is.
Totally makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. I 1,000% agree. Routine is key. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Invisible Tears. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast to hear all future episodes. Click into our link tree too in the episode description to find and follow us on all our social medias. And it also links to our website, invisible-tears.com, where you can keep current on any events that may be coming up, read more about Jane and the team, and read more about all the Connecticut River Valley unsolved cases. Evil may exist in this world, but we will not let it win. See you next episode.